Welcome to the 2022 Courageous Provider Awards made possible and named after Ilene Beal and Margaret Stewart Lindsay. We are so glad you are here. It is an honor to spend this time with you. And we represent people from all over the country, as you will see in a moment. Courageous Parents Network launched in 2014 as a nonprofit with the mission to empower, orient, and support parents caring for children living with serious illness and the clinicians who care for these families. It was originally envisioned as an organization by parents for parents to help reduce isolation and increase parent confidence and efficacy as decision makers and advocates for their child. At the core of Courageous Parents Network is our conviction that every parent wants to be the best possible parent they can be for their child, and make every day as good as possible and as good as can be for their child and their entire family. Another conviction we have held from the very beginning is that pediatric palliative care, whether it's delivered by a palliative care specialist or practiced as part of general primary care or another specialty, makes all the difference in the care experience. Since our beginning, I am very proud to say that we have become a definitive and credible voice for the lived family experience. In this role, we are helping parents and clinicians caring for seriously ill children to mutually understand each other, communicate more effectively, make decisions together, and in so doing, change the course of care, both the care that is given and the care that is received. Another conviction we hold at CPN is that parents and clinicians have the same goal: to give the child, our children, the best chances possible to live their best lives possible. And when the parent-child-clinician relationship and dynamic is truly working, the end result for parents can be a therapeutic and transformative experience that minimizes grief and maximizes healing. And for clinicians, it can be a transformative experience that informs the care that they deliver to the next child in a family and nurtures them too and keeps them going. Because this work is incredibly difficult. These beautiful children living with illness, in treatment, sometimes dying, will fill your heart and break it too. And we need each other to put our hearts back together. The Courageous Provider Award recognizes the incredible clinicians who show up for parents and children every day and make a life-changing difference. It is made possible by the community of clinicians and parents who nominate their doctor, nurse, chaplain, social worker, music therapist. And it is especially made possible by the generosity and legacies of Ilene Beal and Margaret Stewart Lindsay and the charitable foundations that do so much good in the world. The trustees of these foundations are here with us today: Brian, David, Kathy, and Gina, and they will be joining us in recognizing our recipients. The flow of our hour together is that we will be recognizing one clinician at a time. We will play their video, then the trustee will say a few words, and then the featured clinician, either a doctor or a nurse this year, will speak. And I'm going to say, I have one final remark before we get the show on the road. This is our 4th year, as I said at the beginning. And for the very first time, I have noticed that there has been one theme that has come through almost every parent and clinician interview that we did for the awards this year. And that is the theme of pain and fear, and how nothing can move forward until the pain and fear have been dealt with. Everyone here today knows what it is like to feel physical pain, and to feel existential pain, and to be afraid. This knowledge, I hope, we at CPN hope, will connect you more personally to the courageous work that we are celebrating here today. So, without further ado, I will now go start our first video. And I'll shut this one too. Bear with me. And here comes Rainey. And our very first video is Dr. David Sine and Emily White.
We actually met Dr. David years before Kenzie's diagnosis. He was Kenzie's pediatrician, like right out the gate. He has supported us in phenomenal ways throughout the entire course of treatment, from actually providing the medication support that helped her be as successful as she has been today, to being there for me inpatient whenever I was struggling and helping me navigate the relationships with the oncologist there. And now here we are today. I nominated him because I was in the trenches and he was there with me. And because I truly believe that if it wasn't for how he was able to support Kenzie with CBD throughout treatment, that I don't know that she would be here. And so he always prioritized us and just very much made me not feel alone.
I do hospice palliative care, and I was a general pediatrician with my wife. There was a study a long time ago that came out in pediatrics that said the average pediatrician would see 1.3 children in their career. I think it was 1.3 with a cancer diagnosis. So this was one of our general practice patients with cancer, and it was different. It's different. Obviously, I tend to get pretty close to a lot of my patients with palliative care as well. But when it was Kenzie, I remember my wife saying, "Not our Kenzie. Like, it can't be our Kenzie." She didn't even say our patient Kenzie. It's like our Kenzie, because she was a PSP kid. Our practice was called Pine Street Pediatrics, and it's like it's one of our kids. And she felt us in the trenches because we were in the trenches. Like, I would come home and my wife would say, like, "How's Emily? How's she doing? How's Kenzie doing? How are things going?" And it became part of that treatment at the same time. There were a few times where you would just shoot a text and be like, "Are you here today?" Because if I was there and I could see her, we would go see her. Even when she was doing, quote, well, whatever well is when you're fighting cancer.
To sum up treatment just very concisely, it was 5 rounds of chemo, a stem cell collection, MIBG therapy, tumor resection surgery, 2 stem cell transplants, 12 fractions of radiation, and 6 months of immunotherapy. That's just frontline. Kenzie is tall and slender and always has been, but she had reached like 32 pounds. There was no way that we couldn't manage things better and help her recover faster so that there were no delays in treatment, because I was wanting to make sure that we stayed on top of that. So we had a conversation then, and then he also supported me toward the end of treatment with trying to make decisions that I felt like I wasn't really getting guidance from our doctors on, as far as enrolling her in clinical trials afterward, because there were a couple to choose from. And so I texted him the information. I said, "Can you look into these for me and just help me make this decision?" And so he researched it and read all of the scholarly articles that I sent him and texted me back, and he's like, "Yep, that one looks good." I was like, "Thank you," because nobody would say that. Nobody was, and I understand that the doctors are limited on what they can recommend when you're outside of what this line of treatment looks like, but I just needed somebody to give me feedback, and he was there again.
You're getting all this information from the oncologist team, you're getting information online, you're getting information from all the support groups. And I remember you saying, it's pretty overwhelming, and everybody has all these, I call them doors, like all these different doors that you can open. It's like, well, which door do I walk through? Like, I can see all these,
That's
but
the
which
guy
door do I
getting
walk
the
through?
award.
I remember like how nervous you would get when there were things that were delays.
There's
It was my full-time
She's
job.
number 4.
There was no, I had stopped working. I was inpatient with her every single time. Like
Yeah.
every step of the way I was there. And so I was going to make sure that she had the greatest chance of survival.
There was no other answer for mom other than to beat it and win. Like even when things were bad, she would still find something to be positive. She would still find something to smile about, or whatever. Even on the bad days, we would eventually get a smile somehow.
I mean, when I say in the trenches during treatment, like it has not stopped. He's still the one that's like helping us navigate in real time these stuff, everything that's still coming up.
Hi, Dr. Dave. I thank you very much for giving me my oil and helping me. I'm very healthy now. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mhm. So
Blythe, I guess that's my cue, huh?
that's your cue, David.
David, wow. On behalf of Margaret and the fellow trustees, congratulations. We're really honored to be able to award this to you today. I think, in watching the video, I'm struck by a couple of things that would really have been meaningful to Margaret if she were with us right now. And one is just the compassion and generosity of spirit that you and your team obviously exhibit, and she did throughout her life. I'm struck by something Emily said about the fear of being alone. Margaret knew something about feeling lonely. She lost her dad to suicide at 14. And I think a lot of her adult life
went on
was
to something else.
building community and building another kind of family around her
Okay.
to combat
This
that
is a
feeling
lady
of
narrating.
loneliness.
Okay.
And so I think in
This
part,
what
I heard
those
from
other
Emily,
people were talking,
the
and
work
that
that
little
you
girl was
do
talking.
Hey, David,
is a-
can you hold on one moment, please?
Sure.
I'm gonna
Yes.
just
Hold
gonna
on.
mute everyone, and then I'm gonna bring you back up.
Okay.
Okay.
And you can
He's
mute
the-
yourself, okay, David? You can unmute
Realize
yourself.
there's a problem.
Okay, now David, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, I won't start from the top. I'll just continue more or less where I was and say that I think what you do to combat the loneliness that parents must feel while they're going through this is something that Margaret would just have wholeheartedly applauded and supported. So I think it's highly appropriate that you get the award from Margaret, and I know that she would feel the same way were she here today. I have a facsimile of the award in this beautiful lucite frame that I will zoom over to you, and with our congratulations and thanks for all the tremendous work that you and your team do day in and day out.
Thank you, David. And David, will you've unmiked yourself, right?
Yep. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. I just thank you for those very kind words. I want to thank the Margaret Lindsay Foundation and the CPN selection committee members, the parents, especially Emily, and the parents of the patients who wrote the letters on my behalf. Most of all, I want to thank the children that we all fight alongside to hear their voices heard. With this award, my palliative team, who's all here in the background, as we are in the hidden area of the Children's Hospital. This is my palliative care team, most of them. There's not a lot of us. We're small but mighty. We plan on using this money to continue to provide palliative care services to the most needy, fragile kids that are here in Central California. So thank you very much. It's an honor. It means a lot to me. And thank you for the kind words that you said about Margaret. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. And I don't know if Emily, I haven't seen Emily, but if Emily is here and Kenzie and your family. Just want to thank you really very much for what you did to contribute to this. All right, next we have Sara and Sara and Perszyk from Empath Health and Mom Allison. Am I sharing?
The chemo was not.
Am I sharing?
No, we don't see it.
Oh, that's sorry.
No.
Sorry, guys. I will do that right now. Share my screen. Sorry, guys. Share my screen. There you go. All right, well, let's start this again. You guys need to talk, give me feedback.
The chemo was no longer working. So they said that there'd be no more chemo after that.
I remember the first encounter very vividly because we had gotten a call from the hospital that Elise was there and she was in pain. So we knock on the door and we walk in and Elise is in the bed and then there's all these people. They're all here and they're all like fiercely advocating for her. So we just sat down and we started talking and we just like immediately connected. Right. We're talking, we're chatting, we're laughing, and then we were just like laughing out loud. And I thought to myself in that moment, like, what if someone like in the hall thing, here the hospice team comes in and it's all doom and gloom and we're laughing and all they hear is laughter coming from the room. But that was like the first lesson, like you can put that aside and Elise was able to do that, put that aside and focus on the moment, the joy in the moment, the connection with other people. We had that from day one. It was a great lesson.
Elise said when you flushed Twilight, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. She was really happy that that she had someone as well to talk to that wasn't us. She'd been in the room there for a year basically with me nearly. Somebody else that she could talk to about medical and emotional needs that wasn't family or even friends.
People think that what we do is like, oh, we're giving up or, no, it's like whatever you want to do, whatever you want to accomplish in your life, we help make that happen.
Elise decides that she wants to get married to a boyfriend as a Make-A-Wish. And that was a challenge. Elise couldn't walk anymore. She was in a wheelchair. So
Make-A-Wish came and they put this together in like 3 days or something. It was amazing. The venue, the flowers, the reception, the dress, the ring. I met Elise and the family when they were getting ready, their hair and makeup and all that, and she was not feeling well at all. She was throwing up. So I'm on the phone talking to the doctor. I need new orders. I'm calling the pharmacy, deliver the drug. I need the drugs now. And so we got the medication. She was able to kind of break the vomiting cycle. We got her dressed a little bit, and she got in the dress. And like you said, we disconnected. Elise didn't want the ugly PCA on her. So we disconnected. She had the ceremony. And then we went in the basement of the Vinoy, right adjacent to where in the bathroom, adjacent to where the reception was going to be. And I hooked her back up, gave her a bunch of boluses and got her comfortable. And she went into the reception. And that's really where the magic happened. Oh, yeah. There was no pain. There was no cancer. There was only love in the room. The love that Elise had. And Elise had she had this pureness about her. She was just this pure love. There was pure love coming out of her. And I think like we all have a piece of that love that God puts in our heart, or it is God, I don't know. But she was just able to let her shine. Because I drive all over the county here, going from one child to another. And I think about that love in my heart. And sometimes I have like a big to-do list or goals that I want to accomplish in a visit. And I think to myself, let your love shine. And that's from Elise.
I knew Sara had Elise's back. I knew that I could trust her with any decision that she made, the care that she needed and what she needed. I knew I could trust her. So there was a lot of respect there for me.
it was constantly titrating medications to find the sweet spot so that she was out of as much pain as we couldn't get her pain free, but to get her out of as much pain as we could, and to deal with her other symptoms, because she was very anxious. It was that strong. And for me, it was a matter of just stop talking and listen.
Ellie's always tried to protect everybody else. Like you say, she's got such a good heart that I know there's some things that she couldn't speak to me about.
Even when you have strong faith, you are scared. You're scared about what's going to happen. And she was scared. Like, even though she knew she was going to heaven, it was not easy for her. It was a struggle. She had a lot of fear, and the fear caused her to have more pain, and the pain caused her to have more fear. I wanted her to know that I would be someone that would not judge her. She could tell me anything, and I was there to listen to her. And that's what teenagers want. My best teachers have been patients and families. You know, and when you do this work a long time, you realize there's only really two things that are important: to love and be loved, and to live a life of meaning. And she did that. I mean, I can't think of a better example of to love and be loved than Elise Hall.
Gina, if you unmute yourself.
So it's a pleasure to meet you, Sara, and to be able to present to you the Courageous Provider Award from the Ilene Beal Foundation. In listening to you, I feel that you have so many of the same characteristics that Ilene had. She was a dedicated mentor and helper and such a good listener. And she lived her life by very strict standards. And I know that she would be very much honored and pleased today to present this award to you on behalf of the Ilene Beal Foundation.
Thank you, Gina. Sara, let me spotlight you, Sara. Where are you? Let me get you into the spotlight in that room filled with your fans. Where are you? Everybody, wait a second while where'd Sara go? Sara, are you there? I actually think Sara has disappeared. Oh, that's so disappointing. Well, she'll be back in a minute. How perfectly odd. Gina, that was really nice. We will get Sara back. Let's give her 1 minute to see if she comes back. She had a room full of people. I should tell you all, not just because I'm filling time, hoping that Sara comes back. Hopefully this is it. That Sara is retiring at the end of this year. So I think that this is a very timely award for her. And hopefully she certainly felt that it was a good sign and a very good sending off point. So a particularly meaningful gesture from the Ilene Beal Foundation for Sara. Sara, I don't know if you've come back. I have just, all right. Oh, let's see if Sara, all right. Sara, there, you're back. You're back. You're back. All right, go for it. Please. I did just tell everyone that you're retiring after this year. So
yes. Sorry. Did we present this already?
No, really, no. We are. Well,
I didn't get it. You have it, so that's all that's important.
It's your chance. Please say whatever you have to say in your heart.
Okay. Well, 3 minutes is not enough time to thank everyone who really needs to be thanked. And so I'll thank everyone here. I've got a big crew here and I've got a big crew online that I want to thank. But I want to thank Ilene Beal Foundation for their generosity. It's really going to help so many of our families. And we're just really, really excited to be able to use this money for our families. I mainly want to address the patients and families, and many of them signed on. I saw messages coming up and popping up, and I want us to think back to 1974. I was a junior in high school, and at the top of my class and working really hard, and my favorite subjects were science and math, and I thought I'd be an engineer. So I went to bed one night, and in the middle of the night, I had what I can only describe as a direct encounter with God. And God told me, you will be a nurse. I mean, no wiggle room there. I didn't have a choice. So I woke up the next day, and I told also my parents and my boyfriend that I was going into nursing, and I'd never considered it before that day. It was a pink collar career. It just wasn't something I was thinking about that I did. It's why I'm here on earth. It's what I was meant to do. Caring for kids and families is written in my DNA. So, so I want to say thank you to 17-year-old Sara, and thank you to God for putting me on this path. The one thing that you could say about me is that I'm very passionate about these kids. And the word I would use is that I cherish them. I cherish them for their specialness, not specialness in terms of special needs and their disability, but specialness in terms of their uniqueness here on earth. And, you know, every life is here for a reason. Every child's life is meaningful, even if it's a very short life. And the fact that I get to be part of their journey is just amazing to me. And that connection that I've had with the patients and families has changed me as a human being, and it's really transformed me into the person that I am here today. So I'm very grateful for that.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, that's a big installation they've got there, and they're having clearly some snafus. So when Sara comes back, we will let her finish her remarks. I think going to just go on to our next recipient, who is the very special Ann Anderson from Seattle Children's Hospital, an amazing, big, huge children's hospital. I should say Sara is a community-based pediatric hospice nurse. David, who you saw first, was both hospital-based and community-based hospice. And Sara, Ann is a hospital-based clinician. Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen so I don't make that mistake again, and go straight to Sara's, go straight to Ann's video. And Ann is here with Mom Colleen Young.
I remember meeting Colleen and Kevin and Kaweah, who was maybe about 6 months at the time, and his sister Kaweah, who was adorable and busy. And while Kevin and Colleen were speaking with our provider, I remember that I got to write on the whiteboard with Kaweah and get to know her a little bit and hear her perspective on her sweet brother. It was really like an instant bond with this family, because it was just so clear how they wanted the best for Kaweah and how they were thinking about their whole family. It really was Kevin and Colleen managing everything day by day. They did it with such joy and grace.
I had no words. Just meeting Anne, she just, like, her openness just really, like, was inviting. She was just so nice, and, like, open. The very first appointment, I was feeling like very intimidated, scared, because I didn't really know what we were looking for or asking for. I always just felt like a little bit more happier and uplifted because I know she would kind of point me in the right direction. You know, when you're having a long day and you just don't really know what else to do, and like this person just comes in and like kind of lights up your day and like helps you, you know, like brings you ideas and, you know, suggestions that you just really wouldn't think of when your mind is at a capacity already and you're just like, oh, I don't know what else to do. The overall stay for the long hospitalization was 7 months. The initial reason why we went in was because he had to get intubated. He was having a lot of issues keeping his breathing, his oxygen up. Immediately when upon hospitalization, he was intubated. There were a couple of choices, but initially the main reason why we were there was for the trach. It was just such a scary time. We didn't know how to make that decision right away. She was just such a big help in directing us and kind of slowing the process down. Well, she first asked, what are your goals for Kevon? You know, what do you want for him? Do you want him to go home? Like, what is the end goal here? You know, us sitting down and really thinking about it and kind of just helped us kind of see that light. It was such a dark time for us. Like, we honestly had no idea what to do. I had to make all these decisions. And then she kind of just shows up and she's like, well, how was your day? You know, tell me about it. What decisions did you have to make today?
We lived through a lot of like holidays with them, and it just, there was always a lot of joy in the midst of a lot of decision making. Pretty early on, it was clear he was going to need some help with his sort of airway and respiratory system. I just really appreciated the thoughtful way they considered all of that. So I think part of what we did was help slow things down so that their wishes were really brought to the forefront.
We didn't talk about all the negative things. We talked about the positive things. That really changed our mindset of how to look at things as well.
I've never seen so many people at a birthday party in the hospital. They were like 75 people in this, crowded in this lounge. It just is beautiful to see how they have allowed everyone in their lives, people they've met at the hospital, their community-based palliative care team, everybody has been along for the journey and has really been enriched by seeing how well they have done it and their openness in sharing what's hard about it, but what's good about it.
Hi, Anne. How are you? We missed you. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Can't wait till we can see you again.
So now that was Anne and Colleen, just beautiful. Let me spotlight Kathy, who is going to say some words. Kathy, you're up, and
thank you very much. On behalf of the Margaret Stewart Lindsay Foundation, you do God's work. And as you mentioned, you light up their days and you give them joy in the midst of very serious decision making and help them to focus on the positive things. That is so critical and much appreciated. At the beginning, as we were getting ready for this presentation, we were all sort of cautioned not to get emotional, but you can't not get emotional with the kind of work that you do and the blessings that you bring to these families who are dealing with one of the most terrific and horrific times of their lives. We really appreciate your contributions. And you are not only someone who's on the ground. I looked you up, I Googled you, and you are also a pioneer. You started something called the Northwest Pediatric Palliative Care Coalition. So you're not just doing this work every day. You're a pioneer and you're making a difference in a lot of people's lives. So on behalf of the Margaret Stewart Lindsay Foundation, I would like to present you with your award.
Nice. All right, Anne, it's all you.
Oh, wow. What an honor to receive an award with all of these other amazing people. And I just have so much respect and gratitude for the Courageous Parents Network, how it's helped me to have a better understanding of what families experience and how to best support them. And really, most importantly, I have shared it so many times, I can't even tell you how much, to families who often feel so alone in their journey, and it really helps them realize they're the only one that hasn't made this kind of a decision. I really thank the Margaret Stewart Lindsay Foundation for the generous award to our team, and we have plans to use it well to support families that we work with around our region. I've worked as a pediatric and maternal child nurse for over 40 years, and I've been in pediatric palliative care since 2005. First, I was a community-based hospice and palliative care nurse, and I've been on the palliative care team at Seattle Children's for the last 9 years. I think my life experience, along with incredible mentors, called me to this work. And I think about all the people that have supported me, my family. When I was a hospice nurse, my 4 kids knew that when they got in the car, they needed to make sure I wasn't on the phone talking to a patient. My husband, who knew I might have to leave at a moment's notice to go be with a family. So I really was well supported in being able to do this work. I think maybe my kids have more empathy than the normal 20 and 30 somethings because of what they have watched me do in my work. I've really been blessed with an incredible team. And they're too numerous to name, but I've just learned so much from all of them. You can't do this work alone, and sharing it with such incredible colleagues has really helped sustain me. I also just have had incredible partnerships with so many others at Seattle Children's beyond my team, with the Washington State Hospice and Palliative Care Board, with the Northwest Pediatric Palliative Care Coalition, with the nurses that I meet with monthly from the Pediatric Palliative Care Nurse Coordinator Collaborative. All of these colleagues have been so instrumental in my work, and also celebrate with me when I'm able to help a family get home when it seems impossible. And they kind of empower me to keep going for the next family. When I first started working in pediatric palliative care, I remember the feeling that I just needed to learn how to mitigate suffering and communicate compassionately, and then I'd be able to help families. And then over time, I realized that most of the important learning that I've had really came from families, and the grace and the resilience I witnessed in the ways they cared for their child. Colleen and Kevin, Kaweah, Kavan, and Kavari are the kinds of people that I've been able to walk alongside. And to these families, I feel the most gratitude. Thank you for me, to be present during hard times, and what a privilege it has been. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but when someone says to me, "Oh, I couldn't do your job, I care too much," you can't explain how this work is much more than experiencing heartache, but so full of joy and meaning, and that it has really been the most rewarding career I could have ever imagined. I thank you all for this award, and I thank my friends and family that joined today. Thank you. Oh,
and your team, your beautiful team. Thank you. Thank you, Anne. We have one more recipient, the amazing Erin Flanagan and Amy and Dave Graver, who are here with her. But I first wanted to go back to Sara and see if you wanted to briefly finish your remarks that were so interrupted.
I can in just like a minute if you want. I was just talking about a book that I just read called Strength to Strength, and it's written about this time in someone's career at the end of their career. And the author went to Taiwan, and he went to an art museum there, and he learned about the differences between Eastern and Western art. And I feel it's apropos to me. In Western art, you start with a blank canvas and you add brushstrokes and you create a masterpiece. But in Eastern art, you start with a hunk of jade, you chip away at all the unessential parts of it to reveal the beauty inside. And that's what I feel like each and every family has helped me to do. They've helped me to chip away at all the unessential parts of me to reveal the pure light and the profound beauty that's inside of me. And so I'm super appreciative to every single family that I've worked with over the many years. And I just wanted to say thank you, because I mean, you're giving me this award, but it's really not for me. It's for all of us, because I am who I am because of all of you. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Sara. I love that analogy. I love it. All right. I wish we had longer, and I hate being so clippity-clip, but time is precious, especially for those of you who are still at work, because I know we have the West Coast here. So I'm going to, without further ado, share my screen again. And here we have Elliot, let me go, Erin Flanagan, and Amy Graver.
The reason that I nominated Dr. Flanagan for this award is because just like cancer changed our lives, Dr. Flanagan changed our lives in her approach to Lauren's care. She was the first doctor to treat Lauren and not her cancer.
What stood out for me at the very beginning was how beautifully Amy and Dan advocated for Lauren and empowered her to advocate for herself in a way that was extraordinary from the very start. There was the initial clinical aspect of her care that needed immediate attention. That was getting her pain under control. And that was, in my mind, always the first and foremost goal before you can really embark on learning what that child is all about, what that family is all about.
Somebody said you're going to see a palliative doctor. I really did not know what that meant. And Erin walked in, and we had been cautioned about pain meds because they were afraid Lauren would get, opioid addiction. And Erin said, we're going to take care of it. I think within hours, for sure within 24 hours, I had my daughter back. Lauren wants to know who's on the boat with her and, every detail. What's the boat made out of? How old is the boat? And, she needs to know every detail, and you really honored that for her, letting her, you gave her that detail, which she really needed. And the other, I felt like sometimes the oncology team was like, oh, she's 7. She's not going to get it. She was getting it.
Oh, she got it. Yeah. And I'll say it again. I mean, Lauren raised the bar for her age group. I came to treat Lauren like she was a adolescent because she was always thinking 3 steps ahead of us. And I had to always have that in mind when I was proposing something to her or explaining something to her. Again, it's finding out who that child is from the inside out, learning what brings them joy and learning what brings them comfort also is so hugely important. And with Lauren, even more so. So being able to talk to her and relate to her about the important things in her life. I happen to share a love of hockey, and that just, immediately, I think, endeared me to her. She was worried about dying, and she was worried about being alone, and she was worried about what does it look like? What's it going to feel like? And Lauren was, I think that was on her mind probably from the beginning.
Dan's mom died a year after we were married. And so they started asking him about his mom and what does he think about her and where does he think she is? And we talked about that. And we talked about Kevin, and then Erin walked in.
And I think it was one of those moments where, you know, we had to say a lot of I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know when, you know, that's gonna happen. But here's what and we could follow up that conversation with, but here's what I do know. I do know that you will not be alone, that you will be in a place that you feel most comfortable, that it will not hurt. And the rest, we will be with you the whole way and figure out as we go. And that she received that. You know, I couldn't make it I couldn't make it okay. I couldn't say that, you know, it wasn't going to happen, but to be able to reassure about the things you don't know and the things that you do know and what you'll do to minimize the uncertainty. That's all you can do.
But it was liberating to have had that conversation. Like, okay, we can talk. Like, it didn't break her, and it's okay to talk about those things. And then we could bring it up from time to time at a deeper level.
Until we slayed that dragon, until we confronted that monster, she was going to be paralyzed by it.
I remember when she relapsed, and so we had to try a new chemo, and it was just you, her, and I in the clinic, and she was like thinking really deeply, and you asked her what was wrong, and she said, I just, like, my body knows what to do with this chemo. I don't know that my body's going to know what to do with the next chemo. And so you told her, you said, your body's going to know what to do. You said, think about this like a line change in hockey. The idea is to get some new speed, some new energy, mix it up a little bit, and ultimately score a goal, right? That was our goal, was for the chemo to work. So don't worry that it's a different kind or brand of chemo. Don't worry about that. Your body will know what to do. It's a line change. And then she was like, oh, it's a line change. Okay. And I remember talking to you afterwards. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how did you pull that out? Like, that was so great. And you're like, oh, I should be thanking you. Lauren's the only kid I could use line change, hockey line change on, you know? But you just gave her just that, giving her that analogy, something she understood, right? It was, you changed our lives a million days, but that day was one of them. She built this trust with Lauren, like, you know me, you know what's important to me. And Erin, I always felt, and Dan does too, that the oncology team was solving for tomorrow, and Erin was solving for today. You have to see what she wrote about herself. So it's a kid who doesn't know she's dying of cancer, and her mom and dad aren't ready to deal with the fact that she's dying of cancer. But you just have to see the words that she wrote about herself. It says adventurous. The biggest word is brave, bold, dependable, kind, smart, athletic, shy,
funny, honest, hardworking, quiet, courageous, respectful, calm. It was just an extraordinary picture.
Wow. I need a second just to sort of come together after all of these amazing people. And Blythe, I well remember sitting with you when you had the seed for this idea 4 years ago or so. We had no idea what would happen. And it's just so appropriate in so many ways. When I hear the stories, when I see the folks that are in this incredible community, the one word that really sticks with me is kindred spirits. You all are kindred spirits in so many ways. And Ilene suffered and died with cancer, but she did so with the same sort of grace, I would say, elegance, bravery, humor that so many of you all exhibit. And I would just say, I think one of the things that binds you all together is the fact that you all care for other people. It seems more so than you do for yourselves. And that's another common element that you share with Ilene. So it's totally 100% appropriate. These are maybe not so much awards as they are shining a light on you all who do so much without a lot of public recognition, but the rewards that you get are obvious. And so it's a great honor to Erin to award to you from Ilene, who would be very, very proud and feel, as I said, a kindred spirit with you. So it's just a great honor to shine some light on the work that you do. So through the magic of Blythe's, I will shoot you the certificate, and thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, Brian.
Well, the honor is all mine. Thank you, Blythe, and everyone at CPN and the Ilene Beal Foundation for this really incredible award. It means the world to me, and we will use this money on our team to continue to enhance the experience and resources for our patients at Advocate. What struck me about Ilene's story was how she excelled at a time in a world where there were few women, and yet she seemed to do it with confidence and grace and persistence. And she raised the standards of excellence for all, and did it with kindness and generosity of her time and resources. So I am so honored to receive this award in her name, and I hope I will do it justice for her for now and in the future. Now, Blythe gave us she told us that we had to talk about the lessons that we have learned on this journey. So I'm very task oriented. I'm very, I take things very seriously. So I have 3 things that came to mind when I thought about the lessons that I've learned throughout my career. And the first is humility. I think medicine in general it humbles you out, at the get-go, but as I've gone through my career, I'm just constantly humbled by the lessons that our patients and our families teach us every day. To watch the already difficult role of parenting be transformed in the face of a child's serious illness is something truly miraculous. And to watch parents like Amy and Dan do it with such grace and wisdom just took my breath away. And it does continue to do so. Personally, I am humbled by my team. I want to take that any professional recognition I get is the result of work of an amazing group of professionals that I work with at Advocate. Our pediatric advanced care team, our child life specialists, our chaplains, our social workers, our music and art therapists, we all combine to create the best care for our patients. And I am just one small part of that incredible interdisciplinary team. The second thing is curiosity. And, we're taught to be curious as doctors, but curiosity about disease only goes so far. And I think in my career caring for children as a palliative care specialist, professional curiosity was more than just about disease. It was about our patients and who is my patient? What brings them joy? What brings them stress? What does suffering mean to them? And what are the most important things to them? And in that kind of excavation of curiosity is where I felt like we could make the most impact in our patients and their care. And finally, gratitude. That's probably top of all three. Working with patients and families facing serious illness has shown me what it means to practice gratitude every day. Nothing in our lives can ever be taken for granted. And we should all treasure the things in our lives that we hold most dear. So thank you so much, CPN, Blythe, the Ilene Beal Foundation. This award has been one of the highlights of my career. Thank you, Amy and Dan, and all our patients and families who placed their trust in us to care for them during the most difficult times in their lives. Thank you to the Pediatric Advanced Care team at Advocate Children's. I could not imagine a more incredible team of colleagues. You make me a better physician and a human being every day. And thank you to my family. It's not easy living with somebody who does this work. Thank you for your patience, your understanding, that to me, this isn't just work. It's a passion and a purpose that I am grateful every day to have the privilege to do. So thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Erin, Amy and Dan, David and Emily and Anne and Colleen and Sara and Allison and the trustees. This is very beautiful. And I want to say that when you thank Courageous Parents Network, it's just worth noting that we are a team of people that extends way beyond me. Jennifer and Janet and Carol and Allison and Claire and Zach and Devin. It is not just me, and so please know that I get to do some of the funnest stuff, but we are a team, and the team is what makes this work possible. So please know that palliative care is a team effort. Okay, it is the top of the hour. If you need to leave, we totally understand, but we did ask the very inaugural recipient, Pat O'Malley, to say one or two words, and last year's recipient, Monica Holland, to say one or two words. So, and then we will say goodbye. All right, so I'm going to pin you, Pat, and if you unmute yourself, you are muted. Unmute yourself. Oh, you're still muted. There you go.
There we go. Thank you. So, David, Sara, Anne, and Erin, congratulations on this wonderful recognition. From your heart-filling stories, we can clearly see at least one source of your courage. Lao Tzu says that while being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, loving someone deeply, cherishing them, gives you courage. And you each have practiced from an unstinting love that sustained your courage to try to overcome the odds facing so many of your families. And in that, you are the very kind of champions of those without resources that Ilene and Margaret were themselves. And how is it that you use that courage? Well, let me count the ways. It takes courage to love a child when you know that loss is in the cards. It takes courage to show up in the trenches when there's little other than your presence or your curiosity or your honesty that you can offer. It takes courage to have the vision and tenacity to be able to see a path, to see a family to a path of a full life for their child. And I think it takes a special kind of courage to move beyond the boundaries of your designated role, perhaps even your perceived skill set, simply to do what needs doing. I made 2 predictions back in 2019 that the Courageous Provider Awards would become the most sought after recognition in the world of pediatric palliative care. Isn't that clever? And that awardees would do Ilene and Margaret very proud. And it's so gratifying to see how accurate those predictions were, as demonstrated by all the recipients here today. So we are now all charged with doing honor to the legacy and memory of Ilene Beal and Margaret Stewart Lindsay. And I am humbled and very proud and very glad to be partnered with all of you in that effort. Congratulations.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're a very good, hard shoes to fill, but luckily there are others too. You set the bar high, and there are incredible people who are, well, what a silly thing to say. I'm sorry. I just want to say we love you, Pat. Sorry. All right, Monica, you too set the bar high. Welcome. Oh, you're muted. Let me just, oh no, I think you're not muted, but what you're doing with that.
With your.
Yeah, what you're doing there. Can't hear you. Maybe undo, take that out. Okay. There you are. No. No.
Hold on a minute.
Oh, there you are. We got you. We got you. We got you. Talk.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. I know that we're running out of time, but I speak for Carly and Hannah, who joined me as last year's recipients, in congratulating you, Erin, Sara, Ann, and David. It's really thrilling to sit here this year and watch your stories in the families that you worked with, and to be in your midst, actually. So congratulations to you all. I want to share a few words that Hannah and Carly and I put together for you. And that is basically just offering our congratulations. As many people have mentioned prior to this, it's pretty humbling to be in the midst of this group. It's also very humbling to learn about women as extraordinary as Ilene Beal and Margaret Stewart Lindsay. So receiving this award, I think, is quite an honor for all of us. And we thank both foundations and also Courageous Parents Network for highlighting this work and the incredible lives of our patients, and the privilege that it is to do this work. So there's no question in thinking about Ilene and about Margaret, there's no question how proud they would be knowing that you as individuals and providers are carrying forth their vision and their work. So we want to just thank you for your dedication to your patients and to the families that you work with, and for the exceptional example that you carry forth for the entire medical community in honor of Ilene Beal and Margaret Stewart Lindsay's legacies. So thank you, Blythe. Thank you all. And yay.
All right. Well, without further ado, we will wrap up our gathering. I'm not rushing off the Zoom, so if anyone wants to stay on, we'll keep this up. And if our recipients, Erin and Ann and David and Sara, can stay, and maybe people want to say a few words, they've made a destination to be here, please stay on the chat, just start talking aloud. It is a privilege to be with you. CPN gets to do amazing work with amazing people. So thank you for that. Thank you for everything you do for children, whether you're a parent or a clinician or a relative supporting a parent or a relative supporting a clinician. Parents and these amazing doctors and nurses need help. So when you show up for them, you're showing up for the children and you're showing up for each other. So thank you. And thank you for showing up today. And we'll see you again next year. We are about to announce the recipients of the 2023 awards. We have 4 more this year also. It is, I will stop talking, but I just want to say pediatric clinicians generally do not get enough recognition. So it is just damn exciting that this gets to happen.